of those principles is to have an offer. Like we said, we mentioned that there has to be an offer and there has to be an absolute unconditional acceptance of that offer. So what is an offer? Where a person intends actually and objectively to bind the opposite party for certain terms and conditions, and those terms and conditions by the offer are final, leaving the option for the acceptor either to accept it or to reject it. That would be called an offer. So let's look at this example. A inquires with B whether B is willing to sell his house. Is this an offer? An inquiry by A is not really an offer. If when B responds saying, I will not sell a house for anything less than 1 crore, is this response by B an offer? It's not an offer because it only says I will not sell for less than rupees 1 crore. So it's just setting out a certain term. It's still in the process of negotiation. It's a statement of intention saying, yes, I may sell it but not less than 1 crore. Instead, if B had stated, I am ready to sell the house for rupees 1 crore, that would be an offer because B has indicated that he's ready to sell and he's indicated a price of 1 crore. So if A comes back and says, okay, I will purchase it at that would be an acceptance, and then that would be a completion of an offer and an acceptance between the parties. Had A inquired whether B is willing to sell the house, and if B responded saying the price is rupees X, that would still not be an offer. And that would only be a statement. It would not even mean a statement of intention because no intention has been conveyed by B in that. He's only mentioned the price. He's not said whether he's willing to sell it or not willing to sell it for less than a certain price. So this aspect of what is an offer and what is only a statement of intention, or in some instances it could be a counter offer. I could say that I'm ready to sell the house for 1 crore rupees, which is an offer. But if B says, no, I do not want to buy it for 1 crore, can you give it to me for 75 lakhs? That would be a counter offer. So your negotiations are still continuing in that sense. It's only when there is an offer and an acceptance that is concluded and parties have agreed to certain terms and conditions, that's when there is a promise between both of them that they will perform that. So what are the essentials of an offer? And it's important that we distinguish an offer from a statement of intention, because a statement of intention runs short of being an offer, and it's only a willingness to negotiate or a willingness to ask for another counter or making a counter offer in that sense. We can look at certain examples of. So therefore, an offer should not be a statement of intention, or a statement of intention should not be considered or understood to mean an offer. That's when the ambiguities arise. That's when there is no concluded contract between the parties because they've not understood the terms and conditions in the same sense. So if there is a voluntary retirement scheme that is floated by a company, by the employer for the employees, that is not an offer. It's a statement of intention by the company, and the employees are then asked to submit the required forms, because that will then help the employer collate all of the offers that they have received, and thereafter confirm the same to the employees, and then it becomes an acceptance by the employer. When government or various companies invite tenders for participation in performance of any goods, or performance of any service or supply of any goods, when the tenders are filed, the invitation to the tender itself is not an offer, but filing of the tender is an offer that the company receives or the government receives from various parties. And based on the terms and conditions, they then communicate their acceptance to those tenders. Various advertisements in magazines, newspapers, or display of goods in various shops, they are all not offers. They are an invitation. They're a statement of invitation, inviting offers. Similarly, in auction, when there is an auction, the terms are very clear that there will not be an acceptance until there is a falling of the hammer, and that's when that's how they set out how the offer and acceptance will be concluded between the parties. Of course, the offer can be to a specific person. I can say I'm only making an offer like an offer for employment to a specific person. Uh, when I approach a specific person and ask that person to join my company, or I could float an offer for a certain group of people to consider and accept the same. That it's important that the transaction is discussed or communication is being made with an intention to create legal relationships. An example of this is when a husband and a wife, if they orally discuss that the husband is going to provide for a certain maintenance of the wife during marriage of X amount every month, it's not necessarily considered as an offer and an acceptance or a promise between them, because it's deemed that it was not intended to be a legal relationship. It was not set on a document, written or registered. Uh, Having said that, not all documents need to be registered, and we'll come to that. Uh, However, if the husband and wife are separating from each other, and as terms of those settlements, they've agreed that the husband will provide a certain maintenance post termination of marriage, and that's recorded in writing and agreed between the parties. It is very clear that it was intended to create a legal relationship, and therefore a breach of that by the husband, if the husband refuses to make that contribution of the amount that he's promised to make, it would be a breach, and the wife will be able to bind the husband to it and make a claim and enforce that contract. Similarly, if the same contract had a condition that on receipt of that money, the wife is going to pay a certain amount for a mortgage of a house, if that was the understanding between the parties, and if the wife, on receipt of the money, refuses to make that payment, that's also a breach by the wife, which is and the husband will have the right to enforce that contract. The next essential element for an offer is it has to be a clear offer. It cannot be vague. If it is vague, it's not an offer. I cannot make an offer to sell, saying that I will sell a certain wood to you at rupees 5 or rupees 10. Nobody will be able to understand what was the intent. Nobody knows what is the offer. It's too it's vague, it's ambiguous, it's not clear. And of course, when I make an offer to you, I will need to communicate that to you. If top rankers in Legal Edge has to communicate to the students that we are floating this course, it'll have to be communicated between the parties. If there's something in one person's mind and it's not communicated to the other, there is one cannot challenge that there was any understanding between the parties.